Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler vlog, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club. Happy Tuesday. It is the 5th of April, and that means the warm weather is on its way, and hopefully we can say goodbye to winter, unless you're one of those people who really, really like winter. And you know what? I like the cold weather. I like the hot weather. I like all of the seasons. I like all of the distinct seasons. So happy every season, happy every day. Listen, if you're riding by this channel, do me a favor, please stop, hit your brakes, pull into the station for about 1800 seconds, because this station is about inspiration and motivation and just seeing how we can show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It's about offering hope and taking the time to say, I want to be better. I want to show up better. I want to know how to handle life at its most intense moments. Maybe that guy can say something that will just put a little spark in my life, or there's a dialogue, a conversation that we can share with somebody. So that's what this channel is all about. Again, it's about hope, inspiration, and motivation. So all I need is 1800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday. And while you're pulling in, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't done so, subscribe. If you subscribe, let me challenge you. Go and get somebody else. Tell them to come on and let's talk to Cutler so we can build community. I say that at the end of every broadcast. Let's keep building community and maintaining connectivity. One of the things that I like to do is to shout out the LTTC VIPs. That's the Let's Talk to Cutler, very important people. Everybody to me is important, but I want to especially shout out the top 3 people who jump into the chat first. So I'm going to do that. Then I'll go in with a few of the things. But do me a favor, as we talk tonight from the topic that says you're not as weak as you think. What a topic. We're gonna talk about that, and it's going to be based on handling life at its most intense moments. It's going to be based on when I'm overwhelmed, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs for the evening, and again, they're the people who jump into the chat first, and so I'll do a shout out for them. They are, let's see who's coming in. Number 1, Fabulous Me says, I am here on a Tuesday. Hey, y'all. Hey, Fabulous Me. Thank you so much for being the first to jump in the chat. And then looks like a close second is Annie Cutler, who says, let's ride. Why would she say let's ride? Because we're riding down the highway of life, and we are accepting passengers at every stop. We are building a caravan. We are on our way to this destination that is called better. And we have vowed, we have committed not to show up at that place called better by ourselves. So that's why she says, let's ride. And then coming in third is our good friend, fellow book club member, Paula D, who says, hello to everyone. Paula D, my friend, hello to you. I'm so thankful that everybody is here. I never take for granted whenever you allow me to come into your space. And more importantly, when you allow me to come into your time, I don't take that for granted. So I thank you all so very much. We have been reading from this book right here, When I Am Overwhelmed, How to Handle Life at Its Most Intense Moments. And of course, we're looking at life, we're considering life, and we're not ignoring the fact that life happens. And sometimes we feel like life is beating us up. Sometimes we feel like life is beating us down. Sometimes we feel like life is just throwing us out, or life is throwing us in. Life is tossing us to and fro. But collectively, we sit here these Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we strategically talk about, how do I handle life at its most intense moment? How do I handle those moments that would take my breath away, that would knock the wind out of me? How do I handle those times when I am feeling overwhelmed? Like something is happening and I can't take anymore. How do I handle those moments when I feel like I'm drowning and I lift my hand to indicate that I'm drowning and nobody sees my hands? Cutler, how do I handle those moments? All right. So we're talking about preparing for those moments. And we're talking about what to do if we find ourselves in the middle of those moments. We're talking about what to do when we see others in our circles who are having those moments. And how do I recognize when they are having those moments? One of the things that I want to talk about this evening, because I heard a conversation where someone was just sort of talking about having imperfections, and the feedback was, well, maybe you shouldn't tell people when you're weak. Maybe you shouldn't tell people when you're going through. And I thought, no. When people are sharing with you, perhaps the one thing that you want to do is hear them when they are speaking, because if you don't hear me when I'm speaking, perhaps I'm telling you that I am overwhelmed. And if I'm telling you that I'm overwhelmed and you are countering what I'm saying, you're missing the signals, you're missing the opportunity to help, you're missing the opportunity to develop me, you're missing the opportunity to even rescue me. And so I want to just share with us from that space that says you're not as weak as you think. So I think the thread is just going to be okay with being you. Be okay with being you, because you're not as weak as you think. Sometimes these topics that I want to put up are just so long, but I really feel this one in my heart. And no, there is no chapter in this book that's designated and dedicated to that in a nutshell. But it's sort of ancillary. It's related to what we're talking about. And so that's why I want to bring it in. If you want to get this book, I'll probably get back to doing some of the reading, because we're going to go on to chapter 11, and I will eventually get back into the reading of this book. But I want to talk about be okay with being you, because you're not as weak as you think. And as I was considering that I wanted to share that from that perspective, you're not as weak as you think. I was thinking there are some things that we think are weaknesses, but they're not. You're not as weak as you think, and certainly you're not as weak as some people want you to think that you are. And so I sort of looked at perhaps two things this evening. I want to talk about two things because I only have 1,800 seconds. I want to look at two things that we carry, and people will sometimes make us think or feel like we're weak about those things. But I want to talk about imperfections. Imperfections. Sometimes we think that having imperfections will make us weak, but I want to share a new perspective of imperfections. Because have you ever met people who wanted you to think that they never dropped the ball? People who want you to think that every day is perfect and everything is always running smoothly just as planned. I'm not one of those people. I don't have it. It is not my position that every day everything is running as smoothly as I want to, just as it has been planned. That would be great if that were true. That would be wonderful. I would love it. But that is not true. It's certainly not true for me. And I do believe in the perspective of saying, you know what, I want to speak those things that are not as though they are. I want to engage in the power of positive thinking. I want to make sure that I speak life to all situations. And that's true. And I do that. But one of the things that I also talk about on this platform is doing a reality check, is being transparent, is knowing what's truly going on and acknowledging one situation. Some people want you to think that they never drop the ball, they never make a mistake, they never fail, they never fumble, that they don't have any of those things going on. But one of the things that I've discovered in the few years that I've been here is that pretending to be perfect will backfire on you. Pretending to be perfect. How many of y'all know people who pretend to be perfect and you see right through the smoke and mirrors and you know that they're not perfect? But people always do it on social media. They will put their best, not even their best selves forward, but they may take 15 pictures just to get one right. Or they carefully craft, they may Photoshop or crop a picture and make sure that they have, they're always smile, the hair is done, the makeup is done, their tie is just right, and all that, their suit is sharp, and they have the top button, all that kind of stuff. People will post things on social media just to create an illusion. They may do it just to create an illusion, but pretending to be perfect will backfire on you. And again, I believe in putting your best foot forward and showing up as your best self, but I also believe in being genuine. I believe in being organic. I believe in being authentic. I believe in being uniquely you. Gone are the days of trying. This is for me, you all. I just need to share this because I only have 1,800 seconds. But for me, gone are the days of trying to be what I think will make me more likable in the eyes of other people. I don't have time. I don't have energy. I don't have the inclination. And I trust that some of you don't either. Who has the time and the energy and the inclination of trying to be what we think will make us more likable to people, to other people? Guess what? I'm going to show up, and you all know I support this. I really do. I really do support this whole notion of showing up as your best self. And for me, I'm going to show up each day as my best self, even with my flaws. Because what I know is this: I'm not trying to show up perfect, I'm trying to show up better. I'm not trying to show up perfect. I'm just trying to show up better. I'm not trying to show up perfect. I'm trying to show up authentic. I'm not trying to show up perfect, but I'm trying to show up uniquely me. I'm not trying to show up perfect. I'm trying to show up my best self. Just show up as your best self. It takes a strong person to show up imperfect. Cutler, why would you say that? Because you are strong enough to show up in the character that says, you can take me or leave me. You can decide whether you take me or leave me, and you can only make that decision based on the truth of me that you see. It takes a strong person to show up imperfect. So when people say, "Oh, you got imperfect, you have imperfections, you're weak," no, 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 not at all. As a matter of fact, I like people who make mistakes. Now, Cutler, did you say that? Yes, let me be very clear. I did not say that I like for people to make mistakes. I said I like people who make mistakes. Why would I say that? Because I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I don't dot every I. I don't cross every T. Sometimes I find myself trying to cross my I's and dot my T's. So I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. So I like people who make mistakes. Because people who make mistakes and don't mind admitting it, they are strong enough to till the soil where they are planted. Let me say that again. People who make mistakes and don't mind admitting it, they are strong enough to till the soil where they are standing and where they are planted. Y'all know I'm from the South, and I come from a family who used to farm and do all of that kind of stuff. So I have these Southern analogies a lot of times. Because when you can admit that you make mistakes, why would I say that you're strong enough to till the soil where you planted? That means when you're strong, that means when you are strong enough to confront, to confess, and to acknowledge your imperfections, you open yourself up for new knowledge. You till the ground where you stand so that you can plant seeds and you can water the soil, and new knowledge will come up. Because I make mistakes, I don't know everything, so I've tilled the soil so I can get new knowledge. When I admit that I make mistakes, where I stand, the soil has been tilled, and so now I can open myself up to new experiences. I haven't done everything. When I can admit that there are some things that I would like to do that I tried and I failed, that means I've tilled the soil for new opportunities. When you can admit that you make mistakes, you are strong enough to till the ground where you're standing. And it means that when I can admit that I make mistakes, I'm tilling the soil so that new growth can come up and spring forth. No. So don't let people make you feel bad about having imperfections and about making mistakes. Because guess what? When they don't allow you to do that, that will be overwhelming. You end up suppressing new knowledge, opportunities for new knowledge, opportunities for new experiences, opportunities for new growth. Don't suppress all of that, and don't let other people cause you to do it either. Till the soil where you stand. So admitting your mistakes and admitting our imperfections will open up the ground, the soil of truth. I have to share what some of our fellow passengers and book club members are saying, because I love this. And you're absolutely right. Let's see. You're absolutely right, McDiner. You can never please everyone. And sometimes we do have to find ourselves, be vulnerable. I don't know about you. Again, I'm with you. I don't have the energy to pretend to be perfect. And K Sharp, thank you so much. I love what you have said. K Sharp here says, be willing to accept the weeds. Then accept the weeds, then till the ground to plant the seeds. K Sharp, I need to invite you on so we can chit chat about that. Yes, be willing to accept the weeds. The weeds are the imperfections that I have. The weeds are the mistakes that I make. And when I can accept all of that, when I can accept the weeds, then I'm able to till the ground so that I can plant the seeds. Then I'm able to till the ground and pull the weeds up. When I admit that I make mistakes, I'm pulling the weeds. I'm admitting that the weeds do exist. And I'm pulling them up. I'm strong enough to bend down and pull them up so that I can till the soil and plant the seeds of truth, so that new opportunities, new knowledge, new experiences will spring forth. Absolutely. Absolutely. You all are giving me great feedback. I love this. I appreciate you all so much. Fabulous me. You're absolutely right. You can't change your behavior unless you see what you are doing and be honest. We have to come face to face and confront, you know what? I made a mistake. That was horrible. I made a mistake there. And it's called a mistake for a reason. I often say to people, when someone confesses to you that they made a mistake, don't lambaste them, don't torment them, don't kill them, don't castigate them, don't do all of that. It is called a mistake for a reason. There's a difference between doing something on purpose and doing something by mistake. Mistake says I tried, but I failed. I tried, but I didn't get it right. I gave it my best effort, even if not my best effort. I gave it a valiant effort, a noble effort, a good effort. I gave some kind of effort. I put my time and energy into it, and it didn't come out the way that I wanted. It didn't come out right. There was something I forgot, something that I didn't do, and it came out wrong. I remember once I was baking a cake. One of my cousins had given me this recipe to bake this cake, and I made a mistake. The cake came out a horrible mess. But guess what? Guess what, you all? I threw that one away and went right back to the kitchen, pulled out the recipe. I think maybe I was trying to go by memory, but I went and pulled out the written recipe, did it all over again. It came out perfect. Well, maybe not perfect, but it came out 99% better than the first one did. But you see what I'm saying? Sometimes we have to admit and be strong enough to say, you know what, I'm going to do this thing over. I was helping a friend one year put some things together. As a matter of fact, a friend who actually is a baker. This is a different friend, but a friend who is a baker, and a couple of us were just helping. He had a big shipment that particular holiday. I had to run an errand, and left me with the assembly line of stuff. And I don't know what happened, but a couple of the cakes didn't come out right. I'm so glad you all saw me cooking Thanksgiving. So you all know I am a decent cook. I am a decent baker. But I don't know what happened that year. Some of the cakes, y'all, they should have come out like, this fluffy and high. I think that cake was like that. I don't know what happened, but I said, please give me a chance for a do-over. Give me a chance for a do-over, because clearly I did something wrong. I made a mistake. And sometimes we don't always see what went wrong while we're doing it. But when you have an opportunity to do it over, then you can change what you've done. You can't change your behavior unless you can see what you're doing and be honest. There are lessons. MV, you got it. MV, you got. There are lessons. Let me just share that. You can always learn from your mistake. Thank you. I was just getting ready to say, there are lessons that we can learn. There's knowledge that we can gain from our mistakes when we are willing to handle our perfections with the dignity that they deserve. And for goodness sakes, if you're not on the side of making mistakes, then be on the side of being gracious enough to other people when they make mistakes. when they say, I made a mistake. One of the things that I've learned is this. Let me see if I can demonstrate this. One of the things that I've learned is this. I could be in a tirade, upset, going on and on and on and on. Well, why did you do this? And how did you do that? How on earth could you do this? And then what the response is, I made a mistake. I've learned to do this. I could be in the midst of doing this. And when I hear the word mistake, I go, okay, all right. I have learned to do that. Cutler, how can you learn to do that? Because I've learned to be as gracious to other people as I hope and trust that people will be to me one day. I had to learn that. I had to learn to bite my tongue and suck it up so that I did not create an offense where one was not necessary. That is why I wrote this book. We don't always get it right the first time. Sometimes we don't get it right the second, third, fifth, or 100th time. And maybe it's because we keep try. Well, the cliche that says, if at first you don't succeed, try again. We don't always succeed. And do not let people cause you to believe that you are weak because of your imperfections. Again, look at it from the perspective that says when you can admit, confess, and acknowledge your imperfections, then you have begun to till the ground where you stand. That helps me, and I hope it helps you. So not only are imperfections one of the things that we sometimes look at and people want us to think that is a weakness. Imperfections. You thought it was a weakness. You had no idea that your imperfection was a strength. You're not as weak as you think. And then here's another thing. Kindness and generosity. Kindness and generosity. Those are not weaknesses, because I'm not talking about allowing yourself to be exploited and manipulated, but I'm really talking about the generosity that comes from the heart when it's a matter of taking care of others. When I just don't believe that there's any harm in taking care of other people. I don't believe that there's any harm in devoting your time to help other people. Sometimes we think that happiness and self-worth are found only in looking at what we've accomplished, looking at what we have obtained, looking at what we have achieved, looking at what we have done, looking at what we have finished. Sometimes we think that is our only sense of self-worth, is looking at what we have done. And true enough, we should be very pleased with all of those measures of success. Be pleased with all of those measures of success. But there are some people who feel and believe that a certain part of their purpose and their journey to destiny includes helping other people. And let's not castigate them. Let's not berate them. Let's not cause them to feel bad. They truly believe that a part of their purpose, a part of their journey to destiny includes helping other people. And so that is what I'm talking about, the heart of generosity. Don't ever let people make you feel bad for helping other people. I get it. There are times when people will try to exploit you, times when people will try to manipulate you. And I'm not talking about those moments, but I'm talking about moments from when you genuinely, out of the generosity of your heart, say, I'm going to help people. I've seen parents who help their adult children and they get ridiculed for being there, and for not letting their children fall on their butts, or worse, not letting their children fall on their faces. Well, you ought to let them fall, and then they'll learn if they fall. Let them fall on their faces. And then, what parent wants his or her children to fall on their faces? I get the notion, and I understand it, about letting them fumble just a little bit so that they learn how to strengthen and stable themselves so they can stand and endure life. I get that. But I would not. You all know I've often said 25 nieces and nephews, including my great nieces and nephews. If I had the wherewithal, I would never let any of them fall on their faces if I can help it. That comes from a heart of generosity. And I've seen parents ridiculed because they had the resources not to let their children fall. I totally get walking along with them, letting them learn some of life's lessons. But I cannot fathom letting them walk to the edge of the cliff and fall off in the name of teaching them a lesson. Oh, they'll learn the hard way. Okay. What if they die trying? That comes from a heart of generosity. I've seen people just ridiculed. Well, your children are grown, and I think one of the things that I've learned from my mother is that a parent will always be a parent. A parent learns then how to go from parenting a child and an adolescent and a teenager and a young adult and parenting an adult. So parents go through stages of parenting the children that they brought into the world. I get that because I've been on the receiving end of that. And then not only parents who have the parental heart, a heart of generosity. I've seen adults with aging and ailing parents emotionally abandoned by their social circles because they chose to care for their parents in the home because they had the resource to do so rather than institutionalizing them. And let me be very clear. I am not opposed to people institutionalizing their loved ones when they have to or they want to, when they can't, when they may not have the bandwidth or the emotional wherewithal, or even the financial resources to care for them in the home. I fully support people who make that decision. But for people who choose to care for their aging and ailing parents in their homes because they are able to do so, I've sometimes seen them emotionally abandoned because they had hearts of generosity. And I want to share with you all this evening that it is my opinion that people who have generosity in their hearts, and I'm not saying being exploited and manipulated, but people who have generosity in their hearts, they are courageous enough, they're strong enough to share what's in their hearts and what's in their homes and what's in their lives with other people. I think those are beautiful souls. I think it is a strength to say, I'm going to love my neighbor as myself. Because in the case where my neighbor is my child, my neighbor is my parent, my neighbor is my sister, my neighbor is my brother, my neighbor is my friend, my neighbor is someone who one day helped me, and from a heart of generosity. Listen, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with out of the generosity of your heart. Having the courage to say, listen, you know what? I have one piece of bread. We're going to split it down the middle if it's two of us, or we're going to quarter it if it's four of us. Don't let people dictate to you what the generosity in your heart should look like. You know when you're being exploited. You know when you're being manipulated. I'm not talking about those scenarios, but I'm talking about when you know it is the generosity of your heart. Don't let people make you feel bad about being kind. Because guess what? You have the strength and the courage to be kind to others in the face of public opinion when it's not so popular. Absolutely fabulous, man. I've seen people do it. Stay home with their children when they're young and take the time off. I've seen it. Take time off of their career, and others are saying, well, why would you make that choice? Why would you make that decision? Because I care for these people who are in my life. And I may not get another chance to be so impressive while they are impressionable. I may be the only one who knows how to guide them and direct them at this moment. Don't let people tell you what the generosity in your heart should look like. So we've dealt with two things. I may just have to do this series about you're stronger than you think. Because sometimes when life is beating us up because people they thought that they had the right to interpret what life looks like for us, and it becomes overwhelming. because people don't always agree with my decision. They don't always see the strength that it takes for me to make this decision. The decision to admit that I'm not perfect, the decision to admit that I'm going to share my resources out of my heart. Listen, you all, yeah, I believe in showing up our best selves, but guess what? It is okay to help somebody else and let them show up with us. It is okay to be imperfect and still show up. I can show up as my best self tomorrow with all of my flaws. I'm back to that. You can show up as your best self tomorrow, flaws and all. Because showing up as your best self does not mean that you're showing up perfect. It means that you're showing up committed to be better. Y'all know I've talked and talked and talked. I only have 1,800 seconds, but I want to thank you all for being with me this evening. I truly do. I thank every one of you. Those of you who have been in the chats, those who haven't been in the chats, those who will show up, those who will do the replay, all of you. I yelled out the VIPs, but I'm so thankful for all of you. Maybe I've missed some of you this evening, but MV and Linda and T Cutler and Hattie Boone and all of you. I want to thank you, McDonald. Thank all of you for joining in and tuning in this evening. Do me a favor, y'all. Let's keep building community. Let's share these messages and build our community. Let's maintain connectivity. Let's maintain connectivity. Let's keep our heads up. Let's keep our hopes up. That's right. When you show up, just show up, Linda. Right. Show up your real self. McDonald, you're right. Don't let people take your kindness for weakness. Right. So let's keep doing all of this, you all. Stay safe and stay sane. Do me a favor. Let's make sure that we show up Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern time, because we are going to talk more about the fact that it's okay. Be okay with being you, and you're not as weak as you think. We're going to keep this one going just for a little while. You're all right. Are you all right with that? We'll do a little more reading. We'll come back to this, but I promise you, I just want to pull out some more pieces of you're not as weak as you think. You all take care. Know this, that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Hey, good night, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.